Let's have a look at the Fuso starting grid, and it'll be Jason Bright on the pole position, the 11th of his career, and it's an all Brad Jones Racing front row with Fabian Coulthard, yesterday's winner. Second row of the grid, we've got Jamie Whincup. He's had 8 wins at this location, the most successful driver against the second most successful, Garth Tander. Craig Lowndes, what a tough day at the office for him yesterday. He's alongside Scotty Mclaughlin. It's his first visit to this racetrack this weekend. And then a new gearbox in for Mark Winterbottom, and he'll be alongside Will Davis. And then James Courtney, Dean Fiore, we spoke about him a moment ago. Great job. Followed then by Jonathan Webb and Tony D'Alberto. Nice performance in the high flex entry. He's running the Holden Commodore this year.
First of the Mercedes-Benz belongs to Lee Holdsworth from Erebus Racing. He's got Shane Van Gisbergen next to him. There's Alex Davison with Todd Kelly. Couldn't finish the race yesterday, Todd. Scott Pye, that Ecol car, had a whole heap of damage. David Wall had his career best finish yesterday with 11. Michael Caruso, we saw Alex Premer getting turned around in qualifying. It's been a real handful for David Reynolds, the Bottle FPR Ford. He's got Russell Ingall next to him. There's Tim Slade with James Moffat. We were just on board with James a minute or so ago. And the last 2 rows of the grid belong to Rick Kelly and Murrow Engel and Tim Blanchard and Johnny Reid. So the 2 Wilson security cars fill out positions 27 and 28.
Down here with Brad Jones from Brad Jones Racing. 2 cars on the front of the grid, mate. I saw a discreet message go out to your drivers at the front. What did you tell them?
Multi-21, Larko. You follow motorsport, you'll know what that means. Look, you know, for me, it's just stay out of trouble, don't run into one another, and try and come in 1 in 2. But the big message is don't run into one another.
Good luck, mate. It's a fantastic sight seeing both those cars up there.
Thanks, Larko.
On board here with David Reynolds, and now in turn Lee Holdsworth with a very different engine note in the Mercedes-Benz AMG E63 from Erebus Motorsport V8, and we've commented a couple of times this weekend. Terrific performance. Great to see Lee up in 13th.
It should stop it there. Perfect.
About half a second, a little under half a second slower than the quick cars. We didn't expect the gap to be that narrow so early. This is Scott Mclaughlin. I mentioned it when we looked on the grid that he's done a great job in qualifying, considering it's his first visit to this location.
It's Lara Giddings, the Premier of this state. We've got a wonderful history with Tasmania and this area in particular with the Australian Touring Car Championship. So race 4, 100 kilometres, and the teammates on the front row of the grid. Bright against Coulthard. The instructions are clear, do your best, but do not make contact with each other. And they've followed those orders to perfection. And in fact, the 2 Red Bull racers were ganging up as well. Whincup and Lowndes. A good job by Scott Mclaughlin in the Fujitsu car to keep Whincup and Lowndes separated down to turn 4. Bright hangs Coulthard high and wide, and that's going to benefit Garth Tander, who'll get a good run up the back straight here.
Wouldn't be at all surprised if Bright and Coulthard made contact, because it looked like Jason had a big understeer in the middle of the turn 4 hairpin. That's allowed Tander to buy in. He's up the inside at turn 6. He'll grab him here, so Tander gets the spot. And remember that it was yesterday that we saw Tander and Bright in combat down at the hairpin, so they reunite.
Very good job, Scott Mclaughlin. Tander runs wide out of turn 6 and out of 7. A little bit of a moment, cost him a little bit of time, but he and Bright, with drama from yesterday, this will be on at the front of the field with these 2 guys.
Will Davison has made up a couple of spots in 6th. Craig Lowndes started 5th, he's back in 7th.
Courtney looking for a run on the outside with Dean Fiore at the hairpin. Ingles also up high, and Reynolds up on the wall. Rips the front left suspension out of that car.
Huge damage here. This will be safety car for sure. He was caught in the wrong spot then, Dave Reynolds. He was 3 abreast, right up on the guardrail, and they're all bumping. Look at the damage to the Bottle Falcon.
And it's the sort of significant damage that you don't need with only a couple of days turnaround before these cars are air freighted to New Zealand for Pukekohe just outside Auckland next weekend. So Reynolds out. It's the old 2 or 3 into 1, doesn't go on the exit of turn 4, so it's done massive damage. Did the wall of death, got right up on the guardrail and ripped the front left suspension out of that car.
He'd actually made a good start. He was up 2 spots from his grid position. And at that point, he looked like he was quite strong. He made a little run around the outside at that place, and as Neil said, they just often on the exit there, you can't work out the trajectory of the car. So here he is, he's 3 abreast. There's Wall, and there's Caruso. So Wall and Caruso made a little bump, and then Wall nowhere to go. Reynolds right up on the Armco, right up on 2 wheels. Have a look how high it comes up on 2 wheels.
Gee, it hit that fence hard. That'll
Lucky it
have a
didn't roll
lot-
over.
Very lucky, and it'll have really significant damage in the front right-hand corner as well because of the scope of that impact. Here's the view from the curb cam.
Great shot. Oh,
Not for
lucky
Davey
not to go on
Reynolds.
his roof. Huh?
So one victim already. A harsh one too. David Reynolds just can't take a trick. He's heading back to pit lane. So Jason Bright has control of the field behind the Petters safety car. We'll take a break. Bring you back to Tassie in just a minute.
But we're just going to set you out in front of the safety car, so just push around. Tell me.
Time to get these cars right for Bukakoi next weekend. And I'd imagine that it's probably an instant retirement. The team will probably start pulling the car apart and thinking about how they can address and inspect the resultant damage before next weekend's event, because only about 24 hours to fix it up.
Sure, that was points. I mean, if they can do it, they'll do it.
So the clean-up operation continues down there at the exit of turn 4. The lights are flashing on the truck, and David Reynolds' Bottle Ford looks decidedly second-hand. So a little bit of contact between car 36 and 21, and then Wall puts Reynolds into the wall. Crunch. The view doesn't get any better for Davey from this angle. Look at that. Almost 1.5 tonnes of V8 supercar flipped on its side like a matchbox car. So while we're under safety car conditions, we'll grab another quick break.
Okay, thank you, safety car.
The safety car has increased its pace. Lights look to be off. We'll be getting this race underway very shortly. Great job by all of the crew here. Well done. They're all volunteer officials, so when you get a chance, say thank you for
Keeping our sport going to all the volunteer officials.
Yeah, of course, now the inspection's going on with David Wall's car, clearly more damage than that one.
for the team there. Okay, Bronny, so 37 laps to go here. There'll be 36 to go when they restart at this lap.
Safety car, when you exit turn 4, you please hold 80, just hold 80, exit of 4. I'll be releasing you at the end of this lap. Wait for my confirmation, over.
Safety car received and will be at 80 at the exit of turn 4.
Nothing to report while you were gone. They're still under safety car conditions, but it'll be action station soon. So out of turn 4, and the safety car will be given the directive shortly
safety
to...
car lights out, the safety car lights out, accelerate into pit lane. Lead car 8, hold speed, hold 80.
Tim Schenken there, our race director, making the point.
And when those Petters SDP safety car lights go out, there can no longer be any weaving. There's Cameron McConville, former driver, who's looking after the driving standards observation and the investigating officer role now. So the guys have all got no brake warming, no pitching the car left and right or forward and back. We're away again, so it looks like a nice, good, clean start through 6 and 7.
So Bright in control. Tander, then Coulthard, and it's Whincup. McLaughlin. Will Davison, Craig Lowndes, great view from the hill. Winterbottom, Courtney and Fiore make up the top 10. Big dive on the outside from Will Davison, a huge lunge, and he'll come up behind Whincup and get the position from Scott McLaughlin.
There was a bump there on the exit. Davison.
He was so
Whincup
committed to that early as Caruso and Pye go side by side. Good job on the restart from Jason Bright. He's a very experienced campaigner. He was under total control there. Courtney holds off Winterbottom. That's for positions 9 and 10. So through again.
McLaughlin in 6th there. We're looking at him at the moment. He's got Lowndes on him. Disaster day for Lowndes, who came into the round leading the championship, and then it just all went wrong. Got tangled with Van Gisbergen, got a flat tyre, ended up with gearbox damage, had to use second gear right here, and you need to use first, wouldn't launch. And then wheels spinning in the pit lane if you weren't with us yesterday, and then got the penalty, which didn't do anything to him. So his whole day yesterday was just a raging disaster.
So the two big movers inside the top 10, Garth Tander, James Courtney. Tander putting an aggressive move early when he saw Fabian wide at turn 4.
Whincup's done the fastest lap of the race.
Ooh, okay, so there's... So Will Davison went...
Actually rubbed the wall.
Actually got the wall, yeah.
He's given the rivets a rattle there as he came off the corner, and there's a little concrete apron that's 3/4 of a metre wide, as you can see, and the grip level varies between the asphalt and the concrete. It's very easy to do, particularly first gear. The cars light up pretty easily. They wheel spin and they'll step sideways. When you're right under a preceding car, it's actually quite difficult to know exactly where you are on the road, but the fence soon reminds you.
How do you reckon Garth Tander's feeling at the moment? He's in between the guy that he blued with yesterday, Jason Bright, and the guy that he blued with at Adelaide, Fabian Coulthard.
Yeah, there'll be some aggro amongst those three guys for sure. And
James
big slide for Courtney over the rise.
Had the big motocross tank slapper going over the top of the hill there at turn 1.
And Tander, although his speed at the start here is okay, he's been complaining about rear stability and whether that looks after its tyre well enough. So Bright and Coulthard have had better tyre consistency yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see whether Garth can hang in.
Well, guys, at the moment, the Bottle crew are just working on getting this left front wheel off Dave Reynolds' car. It is a mess. They're still assessing it, but come on through. Dave's back in the gap. Just talk us through what happened out there.
It was lap 1. It was all pretty hectic down to the hairpin, and I ended up hitting 2 walls. First time ever.
Not good, but you're okay. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I'm fine, but luckily they don't give away style points in this game because we'll be leading that.
Right, all the very best. Cheers.
He's a lunatic, isn't he? Hit 2 walls. David Wall on the left and Umko Wall on the right.
He had a 20th and a DNF at Adelaide. He was 14th in race 3 yesterday, and he's still got a smile on his face after being crunched down here on lap 1.
At least he's got a sense of humour about it. Fastest lap now, Mark Winterbottom in 8th, 52.27. Half a second is the margin. Bright to Tander. Coulthard still right under the rear wing of the Holden Racing Team car. Russell Ingall in behind Michael Caruso. Caruso was the car on the extreme inside in that incident involving David Wall, and then David Reynolds on the very outside.
Turn 2. And sweep up around turn 3. Big lock up there.
So Lee Holdsworth still the best of the newbies in 14th in the Mercedes, and the best of the Nissans is Todd Kelly in 17th. Here's Russell, car number 66, 19th at the moment, the Super Cheap Auto Holden Commodore. Had a quick yarn to him earlier in the day after qualifying. He's just not a happy camper when it comes to the balance of the car at the moment. They'd like to get a test where they can just sit down, an opportunity to really assess what to do with that car. Remember, he had a very strong run in Adelaide.
Shane Van Gisbergen's under attack here. Jonathan Webb's just gone by him. And Tony D'Alberto's lining up as well. In fact, Lee Holdsworth and Scott Pye are all there. So either Giz has just gone off track a little bit, or he's got a few problems, and D'Alberto almost went off track big time. Doesn't take much there on the exit of turn 6 to lose your way.
Holdsworth right behind D'Alberto, and then Scott Pye, who has a dive to the inside. He's looking. It was a very deep lunge, and Holdsworth's high enough that Scott can do it, and he has got it all done cleanly. Nice move.
Hey, Guy, we just quickly wanted to catch up with, sorry to interrupt Steve, mid-race. Cars are performing well this weekend, strong. We heard James having a little bit of chat about something with the rear of his car. They're having a bit of a complaint. What's the heads up?
It's sliding a bit from the rear, but a bit early in the race to actually work out what's going on at the moment.
Good to see GT second, mate. It seems genuinely competitive this weekend.
Yep, and both drivers are performing well. Garth's up there on merit, and we're enjoying it.
Good job. We like to see HRT up there.
Steve Hallam, who runs operations in there, former McLaren man for many years, and a big stint at Michael Waltrip Racing in NASCAR in North America. And he's been with that team going into his 2nd season now.
It's a great shot. And what Neil said before is the drivers aim for that sort of almost 1 metre apron of concrete. The grip there is much better, and you basically slide the car all the way out in 1st gear, and as soon as you can, get the car to 2nd gear. This is the little short shift there. You just saw Lee Holdsworth. Little short shift and then up over the rise. This is one of the best bits of road in Australian motorsport. We've got to get it stopped, back to 2nd gear, and we've got a camera on the wall on the left at the Armco. We've seen great shots all weekend, but very easy to bump that Armco as you accelerate out of here. This is a really big stop from 245 kilometres an hour to 50 kilometres an hour. Slowest corner on our circuit. Accelerate through these gears again up to 270. Not much in it between those two cars. We've been looking at the Nissan with Russell Ingall, and now the Mercedes behind Scott Pye's Commodore. Not much in it in a straight line, so they're not very far away. Very encouraging for both new car companies.
And as we detailed earlier in the weekend in V8 Extra, when Mark Larkin went into the garage, there are 2 senior engineers from HWA who do the engine building for Erebus Motorsport V8. They also run a Formula 3 engine program, and the boss of that operation, Toto Wolff, runs the Mercedes Grand Prix operation these days. So they've got a lot of very high-end motor racing experience, and as they further develop that car, it's not hard to see that it's going to be a fair weapon, isn't it? When you look at it at the moment, it's certainly holding its own there. So Lee at the moment is 15th. And when you talk about short shifting, just to add to that, when Mark's talking about Lee there on the exit of turn 6, it means he grabs the gear shift 3rd to 4th a little earlier than he might otherwise do by not allowing the car to produce its maximum horsepower, to keep the back of the car settled. So pulling it through the gear a bit early and not going all the way to the 7,500 rev maximum limit just stops the back of the car from getting too excited, because what you don't want in a longer race where the right rear tyre is the tyre that gets punished is to excite it and superheat it.
And Neil, I can't but help give the category another plug, as we did yesterday. As we look at the Nissans blazing around, little lock up there, and the AMG Mercedes. I mean, it's a credit to the category. Anywhere else in the world, in a competitive category like this, if you want to come in as a manufacturer, you will spend years and you will spend millions getting up to speed. And the rules allow these guys to come in and pretty well get on the pace straight away.
Yeah, it's very encouraging, Larko, isn't it? As we said before, and have a look here. You can see the two Nissans battling with Russell Engel, and there's just not much in it already. Their engine pace, not quite good enough, but good enough to be competitive. So Bright leads from Tander. Coulthard, Whincup, Davison, Mclaughlin, Lowndes, Winterbottom, Courtney and Fiore. That is your top 10. Behind James Moffat there is Alex Premer.
Russell's in a Nissan nightmare because it's Todd just in front of him. It's Michael Caruso and James Moffat just behind. So it doesn't matter which way he moves at the moment. He's going to get a hello and welcome from Nissan Motorsport one way or another.
Moffat's done a good job. He's grabbed three positions from grid spot 24. And he's up now behind his teammate.
So Jason Bright by 0.7 of a second over Garth Tander. And this place can be so spectacular, but gee, it can be rough if you go offline. And back after this at Simmons Plains. Mega Wall showing you everything that's going on around this neat little circuit. That's David Wall's car in pit lane. On the track, Jason Bright, as we approach the halfway mark, has just decided to pick up the pace a bit. He's just done the fastest lap of the race and he's pushed his lead out to almost a second now. While we're in the break, Craig Lowndes copped a double whammy down at turn 6. Mark Winterbottom went on the inside of him and James Courtney went there as well. You'll see it here. So travel side by side. Winterbottom was very committed. But watch how wide he's left out. And Courtney goes, I'll take that. It's terrific. Within a blink of an eye, Lowndes had reported back that he was losing his rear tyres.
Yeah, rear grip. And a bit of patience as well. He's wasn't too happy about the fact that he was held up high, and that allowed James to get underneath there. So Frosty had a bit of defence going in there. He had the right of way in that respect, so he was making sure that Craig went the long way, and it really hurt him.
And security crew are doing some pretty hard work on Dave Wall's car at the moment. Dave, you were the meat between the sandwich coming into turn 4.
Yeah, unfortunately, look, we had a good day yesterday here at Wilson Security Racing, and yeah, it's very unfortunate. We've got a beautiful new motor car here that we're enjoying driving, and to be the meat in the sandwich, as he said, is terrible. But we get another opportunity this afternoon, and everyone's hard at it trying to get back out there.
Right, good luck with that. So tell us from your seat exactly what happened. What did you see?
Yeah, look, the field compressed as it normally does at turn 4. Dave Reynolds went the high side, and Scott Pye went the inside, and I was in the middle basically, and Scotty's run me wide up into Dave, and Dave had nowhere to go.
All right, Dave, thanks, mate. All the best.
Thanks. Cheers.
There you can see here in front of me the Red Bull Racing engineering team. Here's Jeremy Moore, Craig Lowndes' engineer. Jerry, as you know, it's very rare we hear Craig having a bit of a battle, bit of a struggle out there. What seems to be his issue?
Just struggling for rear, burning the rear tyres up a bit too quickly. So, yeah, I mean, he's leading with it as much as he can, but we'll have to tune it up a bit for the next race if we want to be competitive.
And has he done that as a result of just pushing hard from mid-pack where he is, trying to get around?
Yeah, he might have been, but I think, yeah, he's not quite happy with the car at the moment. So, yeah, need to do a bit of work.
All right, mate, thanks for the heads up.
So Craig started 5th, he's now down in 9th. And they will have to go to work in between this race and the next. Remember, qualifying for race 5 is already done. And Craig will start the next race from position 11.
So going to be very difficult from there, Matt. It's in a difficult spot now with Craig Lowndes in 9th position, losing those spots we just saw there to Winterbottom and Courtney, and he was complaining. I mean, what he said, he was losing his patience, but he was also complaining that he was run out of road when those overtaking manoeuvres were being conducted at turn 6. Dean Fiore having a very good run. He's 10th. He was right up the inside of Courtney earlier on, almost got the job done on Courtney. Courtney's been very fast. He's actually got the 2nd and 3rd fastest laps of the race behind Jason Bright, so he's had very good speed. And here we go. Got a Nissan versus a Mercedes. Very, very close. Look at the engine performance between these two cars. Todd Kelly down the inside and gets it done on Holdsworth. And that will get Todd to 16th position.
So Lee's lost a bit of ground just in the recent past. Don't know why, but that means the first of the new cars in the field is now Todd. He's 16th. Oh, there we go. I do know why. Because he ended up wide on the exit of turn 2, so he dropped some spots in the process, and that's hurt him. He's got out of rhythm with the rest of the pack. Already a lot of rubber debris building up off the racing line as well with these Dunlop soft tyres. And Jonathan Webb, 2 wheels in the dirt on the exit of turn 7.
He's got the other Techno entry behind him there of Shane Van Gisbergen. So Darryl Lee now sponsoring Jono Webb's car for the rest of the year. And VIP Pet Foods, of course, on car 97.
So let's go for a ride. Quick tour of the short, sweet and fast Symmons Plains Raceway. That's it. 7 corners, 52 odd seconds. An interesting watch Courtney here come off the hairpin because he feathers the throttle between the gear shift 1st to 2nd. Here we are about to be at the apex at 4. Watch this. So the little relief of the throttle just helps it change gear 1st to 2nd, but importantly, doesn't launch the rear wheels into big wheel spin. When we stood up there on Friday, Massive number of them are just standing on the throttle and holding it flat shifting first to second. Then you get this huge launch and corresponding wheel spin in second gear. Really hurts the rear tyre, so I'm very interested to see James doing that up there. That helps the rear tyre life. Get away with it when the tyre's brand new for qualifying, but it's harder to get away with it lap after lap in the race.
Meanwhile, boys, Jason Bright's just done another fastest lap, pushed his gap out to almost 2 seconds.
That's very impressive. Lap 26, a 52.07. On the same lap, we'll give you a lap time of the others in that lead group in a second, but Garth Tander has done a 52.22. That was on lap 14, so it's 10 laps ago.
Hard to see why you end up with the sore lower back in these things. Just think about the biomechanics of this. So James has got his foot flat when he eventually gets sorted off the hairpin here and twists his hip to the right, and it stays down there from this point on, and his left leg is on the dead pedal on the footrest to the left. And when you do a long race like a Bathurst and you get out and you go and talk to your friends, I think you've got a bent axle at the end of the day because you hobble along the road to say good day, all bent and twisted.
Now, here's a guy I've been wanting to flush out all weekend who's usually out on the other side of the pit wall, mate. Cars look great. I see him on the screen there. Living in Queensland, a lot of people asking, mate, how's Dick, how's Steve, how's the team going, how's the future going? Cars look great. What's happening?
Mate, well, we're still out here. Obviously, it's been pretty tough start to the year for us, but you know, Wilson's been fantastic getting on board and really helping keep EJR alive. And a bit of a tough start to the boys there. We're just lacking a little bit of qualifying pace at the moment, but race pace is not too bad. But although starting that far back, it's pretty hard to pass in this track, so they're having a bit of a tough time out there this afternoon.
And how are you finding it, mate? You're getting involved in the team debriefs or the driver debriefs to set up the engineering of the cars. You've got to say you look absolutely out of place back here.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I was a bit depressing walking up and down the grid in a collared shirt rather than a race suit, but I get as involved as I can, and I'm obviously here for those guys to chat to and bounce ideas off. But it's pretty hard. We're in a bit of a phase now where we need to really push on, and not as enjoying it as much now, but hopefully we'll be back in the seat soon.
Thanks, Stevie.
Cheers, mate.
Now the general manager at DJR, Stephen Johnson. Kind of weird not having him on the grid after so many years. He still hasn't committed to his endurance drives. Or if he has, he's not telling us.
You mean not driving for DJR or...
Possibly.
Yeah? Interesting.
Aaron Noonan here has been peppering him all weekend and just can't get an answer.
We beat up on him yesterday and tried to get the answer out of him, and he was a bit cagey. Larko?
Yeah, well, seriously, tell me you'd find a better endurance driver than take to Bathurst, apart from the bloke up there sitting next to you, Neil, and I don't mean Matt White. No, seriously, go back through Stevie Johnson's record. There wouldn't be a guy in this pit lane that's done as many miles with the least amount of incidents than that fella there, and he'd be a great asset to have up there, wouldn't he?
Brett's would be putting his hand up, wouldn't he? He's got his CAMS licence now.
Don't start. Don't go there.
Oh, come on, Marco. Brett's big chance, isn't he?
He's still fully debriefing us on lap 2.
He crash tackled me to get to the rent-a-car when we got to the airport.
Jason Bright's now out to 2.2 seconds. Bright to Tander. This is just starting to liven up a little bit here. Courtney's looking racy on the back of Winterbottom. McLaughlin's just in front, and then it's Davison at the head of this queue. So this is for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment. We're back on with James here at turn 6, 7. Put a new gearbox in that car last night and we're entirely happy with what James was feeling and what they were seeing with their numbers.
Will Davison complaining that he can't go any softer with the rear sway bar on that car now, so that means he's struggling, trying to soften the rear of the car off. So Davison under pressure from Scott McLaughlin, Winterbottom in that battle also, and Courtney putting pressure on Winterbottom, so it's a pretty healthy group, that one. There's only about 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second separating all 4 cars. So Bright with a 2.5 second lead over Tander. Fabian Coulthard, I thought he might have put a bit more pressure on Tander in this race. There's Rusty French up there in your top right. That's Richard Holway, the engineer for Scott McLaughlin, who was very impressed. Richard was one of the guys who brought Craig Lowndes through as a young guy and has been around young motor racing drivers and makes a lot of comparison between Lowndes and Scott McLaughlin at a very early age, which is a great rap for Scott, and the job that he's done so far has been very impressive. Ooh, almost off the road then for Davison, almost ran on.
He's up very high, wasn't he? It's got a incredible amount of camber. It's like a big motocross berm, that corner up at turn 4. It's very steep, and it saves you sometimes because very often the drivers arriving up there way too quick. The shape of the road holds you, but Mclaughlin had a look, thought about it, the gap vanished. Last night in the garage, when I spotted him, he was going through an entire race. The new data logging systems in the car have got an HD camera attached to them, so Scotty was sitting there literally watching his entire race, making notes, talking with his engineers, looking at the car's relative performance to those around. He had a feeling that they had a problem with the shock absorber on the car because it reached a point in the race where it started to become very oversteer. He wasn't happy at all. They were going to go and retest and re-dyno their shocks in the transporter to make sure they were right. They suspect that one had an issue. But we've said several times already that he's been off to a fantastic start so far this year, including that non-championship win in Melbourne.
The last 4 laps there for Microsoft Office 365. James Courtney just picking away at Mark Winterbottom. He's got plenty of speed at the back end of this race in car 22. Just on that point you were making, those points you were making about Scott Mclaughlin, I've mentioned that he's been top 10 in every qualifying session, in every race so far this season, in his rookie season. He's just 19 years of age. It's incredible. He just doesn't seem to be browbeaten when he gets into the fights with the big guys. Holds his nerve well.
He's already done a lot of racing in his career, and in that period, he's had a lot of success. Numerically, he might be young, but he's certainly got a lot of kilometres, and he doesn't talk or drive like a youngster. Yeah, he's a pretty bright young boy. Lee Holdsworth up very high, and again, that camber, the shape of that corner at turn 4 covers a multitude of sins, and he was able to gather it up. It's a great little corner because the approach speed is about 250 odd kilometres an hour, just a fraction less. It depends a bit on the wind direction and who's around you. And then you've got to get the cars slowed up back to first gear and down to an ideal target speed of about 50 odd kilometres an hour.
Now, I was going to try and grab Tim Edwards, but I might walk around him. He'll probably kick me in the shits here and see if I can grab Grant. Grant, we're just hearing that Wills can't retard his rear anti-roll bar. Is that right? We're hearing the words right?
Oh, mate, he could soften it if he wanted to, but it's the understeer's the limiting factor. It will physically move, but we can't afford to soften it without dropping some speed at that end of the car.
Okay, thanks for the heads up, mate.
Cheers.
Grant McPherson, his engineer, Will Davison's engineer, so it's not a seized mechanism. It's just that if he does change it anymore, if he softens that rear bar to protect the rear tyre life, make the rear of the car more compliant, it'll have the effect of allowing the inside, the unloaded front of the car, to wave around in the air, and when it unloads, more prone to brake locking. So here we are on board. Right here's a spot where it's very easy to arrive with 2 turning and 2 burning and make smoke signals for the crowd down there, and you end up with a Dunlop tyre that looks like a 50-cent piece. So this is the juggle now with driving these cars, because when we had the pit stops and the live rear axle and the what's called the Watts link, you could have a fiddle and adjust all that, make it better for the driver. But now you've got to have a lot of sensitivity in these anti-roll bar controls that you can see just to the left of Will, and they've got to get that just right. And this is all part of this learning and understanding the development of these cars.
I just noticed this a lap or so ago. Jamie Whincup was really starting to pressure Fabian Coulthard. Now he's arrived, well and truly arrived. That's Garth Tander ahead of them. Bright's off in the distance. He's 3 seconds clear of Tander with 5 laps to go.
He's complaining of rear tyre now, so he's used the tyre up. Remember, in races that we've seen over the years, you could change the roll centre and there were pit stops, so you put some fresh tyres on. For these sorts of sprint races, what you start the race with, you've got. And the sway bar changes are the only ones that you can make as active changes for the driver to change the balance of the car. So whatever they've done, and now it's on now again. We've just got young Scott right up alongside, Winterbottom on the left. He'll have track position for turn 6. Oh, he's dived back down the inside. Oh, that's a healthy manoeuvre. Well done. And Courtney, he'll hit him. They make contact. And Courtney tried to do the same thing. He tried to dive through and get that pass done as we saw earlier in the race. Scott McLaughlin, what a great move.
Great exchange. How's the way Frosty ducked back across to the right? I held my breath when he did that. He went back to the racing line. McLaughlin immediately chops down to the inside, fired it in there. That was a great bit of driving. Awesome. Here it is again in replay. So check it out at this stage, and I saw it flick up on the timing. Winterbottom is millimetres in front and sliding in top gear. He jams it back to the right, and immediately, look at the Fujitsu man, straight back to the dirty side of the road and gets it done. Then James goes, this looks nice. And actually James did the right thing. He lifted the throttle then, let Frosty recover, didn't take advantage of it because he knew it wouldn't have been right. Here's the replay from James' car.
Oh, how cool. What a great bit of driving. And really, that's a good bit of driving for Courtney because he could have fired him off. And he was probably up far enough to have taken that corner off him. But Winterbottom should not have moved over to the right. He allowed Scott McLaughlin to do that.
Well, if he'd stayed down
the left, he'd have that position.
There was a tonne and a half in the way, so that was interesting.
Exactly, so it was a mistake from Winterbottom and a great opportunistic dive from McLaughlin. I love that stuff. There's a lot of car control, a lot of bravery. 265, 270k.
And how's the way? In that replay, you saw Frosty's car having the big 6-gear 270k slide on the outside at turn 5. So that's wild stuff. I reckon Mark Winterbottom will think about that one.
He won't do it again.
He gets up in the morning, has a shave, and thinks, I'll never do that again.
I think Fiore is attacking Lowndes. I think he's actually got him just in the back of shot here. Have a look. He is. He's down the inside. Good job. Well done, Dean.
Dean up to 9th. That'll be a career best finish. You can hold it inside the top 10. It was a classic case back there of anything you can do, I'll try and do it better. And I did. That's exactly what McLaughlin did on Winterbottom. So Jason Bright leads the race by 4.1 seconds. Only a couple of laps to go. It's back on again here.
Reigniting it. So I don't reckon Frosty will pull that move again, as I said before. Here we go. Back to the hairpin. James Courtney, the watching brief. Winterbottom up high. McLaughlin in the lead of this little battle. Now Frosty's up the inside with better traction. Here we go. Carbon copy repeat cycle. That puts him on the dirty line, Mark Winterbottom. So he grabs 6th gear now. He's got to go the long way. I'll bet he doesn't try and chop the nose this time. Now he holds his ground. And this time there's a blue Pepsi Max Ford in the way. And Courtney up the inside. It's McLaughlin that fares worst of all. Frosty through, Courtney through. What a great exchange, guys.
How's McLaughlin on the exit of turn 4 eyeballed Mark Winterbottom? Had a good, decent look to his left. I thought you were going to do it again.
4.3 seconds, Jason Bright. Smashed them. This is a very, very good drive, good speed. Fabian still being attacked by Whincup, but I don't know, he'll get to him now and released. You can see that Winterbottom's opened a couple of car lengths.
Gee, Scott had the wheels locked then. He was almost into the back of Courtney.
What's going on in the front?
So the right window popping out of it.
So Jason Bright last won a race in 2011.
Fantastic job there, Bridie. Excellent drive.
Today, he's blitzed him, and 2 out of 2 for Brad Jones Racing this weekend.
Bridie, man, good work.
Tander second, Fabian Coulthard on the podium again, which means that Whincup misses out on the podium for the first time this season. In 4th, Will Davison, Mark Winterbottom, James Courtney and Scott McLaughlin put on showtime for us at the end of the race. Dean Fiore 9th. And that is a career best race finish for Dean, with Craig Lowndes in 10th. Now there's our race winner. So first time in a couple of years he's been on the top step of the podium, and what a day to do it. The day after his teammate scored his first championship win, with one more race to come this afternoon. BJR are going to leave Tasmania very, very happy. Garth Tander always features at the end here in Tasmania. He's got a great run of results. Shane van Gisbergen in 12th. There's Todd Kelly 16th. And we go further down the field where David Wall and David Reynolds, the 2 casualties. Big impact down at turn 4. Reynolds' car frantically trying to be pieced together for the next race.
I'm surprised we even get a podium.
So he started from pole position. He held fire the whole way and was pulling away at the end of the race. It's a thoroughbred effort for Jason Bright,
who's off to Le Mans later in the year to drive a Ferrari sports car. He's just been over at Paul Ricard in France testing that car. So his stocks are high at the moment. He's doing lots of race driving. He's got some big gigs ahead, and nearly bowled it. Garth Tander, and he's done a brilliant job this afternoon, Bright, to look after the tyres and make margin.
These guys have really taken to the car of the future. They actually haven't even had a proper test run aside from the Eastern Creek test. So there's more to come from Team BOC and Lockwood Racing. And good job, Garth Tander. There's the teammates. Thought he was going to give him a kiss there. So Garth Tander's first podium of 2013. Good, solid. That was just a solid performance from Bright. He knew he had the car to do it. He just stayed out of trouble and stayed in front.
Well, Jason Bright, fantastic effort. What a team result for Brad Jones Racing. And Brighty, for you, great to see you on the top of the podium once again.
Yeah, it's been too long again. I seem to be putting big breaks in between my wins at the moment, but hopefully this year we won't have to wait as long. The BJR cars, both Lockwood Racing and Team BOC, are just awesome at the moment. So we're coming out of the box strong. We've just got to keep going all this year.
Fantastic race. Well done, Brighty. Enjoy that top spot on the podium.
I will, mate. Don't worry. Thank you.
Garth Tander and Fabian Coulthard, boys, both together. Garth, a great move by you early on to get in front of Fabian and to stay there as well.
Yeah, look, I was surprised Fabs went up high, and that sort of opened the door, and two teammates were banging into each other, so I opened the door. So, I didn't need a second invitation, and it was a good race up the back straight with Fabs, and then we just managed to just stay in front. Bridie obviously got away, but really happy to be second. It's been the VF party so far this year. It's good to have HRT part of it.
And Fabian, for you too, a great result. I mean, a win yesterday and now a podium result today. Perfect.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Win yesterday, like you say, podium today. It's been a pretty good weekend. Obviously, a little bit unlucky there on the outside of Bridie, but if it wasn't me, there's no other person I'd like to win than Bridie, my teammate. So, congrats to him.
A great weekend. One more race to come. Enjoy this podium, Fabs.
Thank you.
Scotty Mclaughlin, P8. I think when I spoke to you yesterday, it was P8 as well, mate. But I'm here to talk about move of the weekend. You know what I'm talking about. We try and teach young blokes sometimes how to do a racing manoeuvre, mate. Can't teach that one. Well done. Talk us through it.
Well, my first instinct was I was trying to stop Courtney from going under me as well, and then Mark left the door open, so I just threw it.
Mate, turn around. There it is on the screen.
Yeah, threw it. And here I'm just trying to let him go, and then I thought, oh no, I better have a go here, and it ended up pretty good. And he gave me racing room, I gave him racing room. My car had a cliff, but I had so much fun out. That was good fun.
Looks like you're having fun, mate. And P5, I think, in the next race.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it's a good starting position. It's just good racing up the front with the experienced blokes. You learn so much more. So I'm not saying anyone down the back isn't, but I'm just saying that it's a good racing. So I'm looking forward to it.
Keep your head down, mate. You're doing a great job.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, and you're right, Larko. He will start from position 5 for race 5. It'll be furthest up the grid he started. So the championship points after 4 races. Jamie Whincup continues to lead from Will Davison, so no change there. Look at Scott. He's in 5th in the championship race, and Mark Winterbottom was 10th before this one, so he's pushing along as well with a 6th placing. So time now for the podium. Jason Bright asked the question when he came into pit lane, do we get a podium after this one? He was worried about a turnaround. Well, yes, you do. Jason, take it away, Brett.
The 2013 V8 Supercars Tasmania. Microsoft offers 365. Our 4th race of the year. Would you please congratulate our winners? In first place for Team BOC, Jason Bright. In second place for the Holden Racing Team, Garth Tander. And in third place for Lockwood Racing, Fabian Coulthard. Representing the winning team from Team BOC, Andrew Edwards. Making the presentation of the third place trophy is Nick Roney, the District Sales Manager for Coca-Cola Amatil. Presenting to second place is Brian Whiteman, the Attorney General of Tasmania. Making the presentation to our winning team is John Fitzgerald, the Chief Executive Officer, Tourism Tasmania. And presenting to our winner is Michael Bennett, the Tasmanian State Manager of our major sponsor, Microsoft. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2013 Tasmania Microsoft Office 365 Race 4 winners.
Yeah, not too much champagne was going to go on the drivers because they've still got to go again. They've decided to attack the team instead. Jason Bright last tasted that champagne back at Winton on a memorable afternoon in 2011. So a first and a fourth for Bright so far, a first and a third for Coulthard.